Hello and welcome to Perspectives, where we'll take a deep dive into the issues of the day as usual, and where we'll take a look at people's opinion on such issues. I am Ruth Osime. Welcome back to Perspectives here on Arise News. Today, we confront a grim and heartbreaking reality. Nigerian girls trafficked and sold into sexual slavery in the brutal mining camps of Africa. They weren't stolen under the cover of darkness, but in broad daylight, deceived by smooth-talking lies, promised jobs, promised escape, promised a future that never came. Instead, they were lured into a nightmare stripped of dignity, trapped in unending abuse. These are not distant stories. They are our daughters, our sisters. Their pain is ours to bear. Recently, one voice cut through the noise, very dark man, VDM. Martin Ose is his name. His unfiltered videos of these victims didn't just speak, they screamed. He shoved the horror into our timelines, forcing the world to look. Then came renowned journalist, our very own Rufai Oseni, sharp, unrelenting, amplifying the truth with the force that it deserved. And finally, chairman of Airpeace, Allen Oyema, answered the call. His plane picked up the girls from Côte d'Ivoire and brought them back home. No noise, no delay, just action. While this rescue was heroic, some questions still haunt us. Why did it take civilians, not a system, to save these girls? And how many of them are still out there, spread across the African continent? Why have we not heard of such rescues by the bodies designed to do so? This is more than a trafficking crisis. It's a national upstakes disaster, as the world is watching a country that cannot protect its girls, a system that lets underage children cross our borders undetected, a culture that still blames the victim, and a nation too quiet. We're heading for a short break, but stay with us because I will be back in a brief minute for the discussion proper with my guests, Julie Okah-Donli and Lady X. Perspectives will return in just a moment. Welcome back to Perspectives here on Arise News. Julie Okah-Donli is a lawyer and former DG of NAPTIP, the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, which is the agency tackling human trafficking in Nigeria. She now runs Ruth Foundation, an NGO focused on rescuing, rehabilitating, and empowering victims of trafficking and gender-based violence. Julie has answered our call for this very important discussion. And she is in the company of a beautiful lady we will simply identify as Lady X, only for the sake of what she will bring to this interaction. Lady X is a survivor rescued by NAPTIP after being trafficked and forced into a life none should endure. Today, she lives a life worlds apart from that nightmare. Though her courage drives her to speak out and warn others, she guards her privacy fiercely because survival came at a cost and healing is still ongoing. Good morning and welcome to both of you on Perspectives this morning. Okay, let me start with you. Good morning, Julie, and good morning, Lady X. We will call you Lady X for today. So good morning, both of you. As DG of NAPTIP, you have led, and this is a question to you, Julie. As DG of NAPTIP, you have led several rescues. So tell us, what was a typical operation like? And how do NAPTIP's missions differ from recent private-led efforts? And what key alliances make these rescues successful? Did you hear me?
Sorry, I hope I heard you well. What it was like?
Yes, I want you to tell us what a typical operation was like. Yes.
As DG NAPTIP?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you know, in rescuing victims of trafficking, you do not work in isolation. You must share information with other law enforcement agencies and work as a team. We work with the immigration services, with the customs, especially if they are across the border, with the ambassador to the country, with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and so on and so forth. Then once we have information, for example, if it's a victim that is out of the country, we have information, we share the victim's name and number, and then they start by, you know, tracking them. Most of the time we ask them to go to the Nigerian embassy in the country where they are being trafficked. and then we take it from there, bring them back, and rehabilitate them. And I want to correct an impression. The victim right here was not rescued by NAPTIP, but was rescued by Ruth Foundation in conjunction with the IOM.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So, Lady X, let's get to you. Can you tell us how you were first approached? Who introduced you to these traffickers? Then also, how old were you at the time when you were approached? And were your parents or guardians, did they know that you were living in Nigeria? Also, where did you go to?
My friend of mine here in Abuja, and she told me that there's a country in Egypt, and the sponsor needs ladies, girls for work. So the first question I asked her was, what kind of work? She said they have house help, and I was not like, okay, I work in a salon here in Abuja, and if there's any salon work in that place, so she was like, oh, she'll connect me to the sponsor. And when she connected me to the sponsor, and the sponsor was not interviewing me, and he said, he was not asking me, where did I work, what kind of work I do. I said I work in a salon. He was not like, okay, if I come to Egypt, they have a lot of work in Egypt to do. And I asked him, is there any other salon work in Egypt? He said yes. So he talked to my mom, that he wants to talk to my mom so that my mom will be aware of me coming to Egypt, that I should not be worried. Egypt is a nice place, the place is cool, they will take care of me and everything. So that's how he started doing my papers. And so when I went to Egypt, I went to Egypt September 3rd. So the first night I arrived in Egypt, he came to the airport and picked me. We went to the house. He has his family there, and his daughter and him himself. So the next day in the morning, the first thing he did was to seize my passport from me. So that is how he started locking me in the house and everything. And I hardly eat in the house. I can't even come outside. I can't even make call. And he was even telling me that he will seize my phone so that I cannot even get contact with anybody. And that the first work they took me to was an old woman. I did caregiver, and the caregiver in that house was terrible, very, very terrible. So after I did 1 month in the caregiver's house, I came back home. And after I came back home, he was not like, we're looking for another job, another house help. And I was not like, is there any other work I can do? Because you guys say I can do salon work when I come here. He said, there's no work that I can do in this place. If I don't want to do the house help, I can go and do, he can push me to do a prostitution work there. I said, no, I don't want to do any prostitution in Egypt. You told me if I come here, there's nice work, and that is why I got, he said the salary is 6,000 pounds, and then my allowance is 500 pounds. So that is how I stay at home for like 3 months. I hardly eat. They will lock the food in the kitchen, and they will lock me in the house. I stay in the house, no food, nothing. To the extent that after I stayed for 3 months, I went to one other house like that, and the Egyptian woman, she has 2 children, and then I was doing cleaning in the house, in the small mini villa. And there's a day I was even cleaning. Anytime I clean the house, the woman she'll come back and say, this place is not clean, this place is not clean. She'll carry a bucket of water and pour all over the place. I have to use my hand and bend down and mop. And I don't even use a mopping stick to clean and all this stuff. I hardly eat. I can't even eat. I eat maybe once in a day. The next day, before I can eat again, so that's how I did half of the month. The woman did not pay me, and I came back home. We started looking for another work until I went to another work again. And the work I went to, there were 3 in the house, the man and his daughter and his wife. So what I used to do in that house is the same clean, and sometimes they would tell me to go and do electrician work. I was like, I don't know how to do electrician, and that's how I got beaten in the house. And I called my sponsor, and I told him, this house you took me to, they beat me there. You're not like, because you don't used to listen, and that's why you got beaten. It's not his problem. His problem is I should pay him his money that I did, because he told me that if I come to Egypt, I'll work for 1 year, 6 months before he can give me back my passport. I started complaining, this is the beating, and the bruises were everywhere in my body. I showed him, he said he don't care and all this, so I have to stay in that work. That's how I managed. I cried. I even begged him. I begged him to look for another house that I can leave that house. He said, no, I'm not leaving that house. That's where I will stay and finish paying his money, or he will take me back to where they used to do prostitution. That's where I will go. And those Egyptian men, if you're working in their house and they will like touching you, and when you say no, they will say they will kill you. That's how I was so frustrated. I was I was almost kill myself. And so one day I went to the restroom. I took hypo and I almost drink the hypo because it just like I was locked. Like I was not like I don't even know. Like it was very terrible. I can't. So and that's how I came back. I came back back home to my sponsor house, and I went back to another house. So when I went back to another house, I started telling my mom, there's nowhere we can, there's no help, nothing. My mom kept telling me that I should manage, and I paid the sponsor for 4 months. For 4 months. So that's how my mom got to reach my uncle. His name is Mr. Balomi Isaac. So that's how Mr. Balomi came to my mom's place and asked where is me, and my mom told him that I traveled to Egypt. So Mr. Balomi was not like, why will you allow your daughter to travel to Egypt? She was not like, she don't know that the country is this bad, because what the sponsor were telling her was not what I went there and see. I see another different thing. So that's how Mr. Balomi introduced me to Juliet, Juliet, the former minister of NAPTIP. So that's how she connected us to IOM in Egypt. And even them, the Egyptian there, the Nigeria embassy in that place, they don't really know anything called IOM. It was through Miss Julie them that they even know IOM in that place. And that's how IOM got us back home to Nigeria. And they make our case very special, because they say the person that connected us to them is a very special person, and then they treat us very nice. And it was, I feel they gave us money for feeding, they took us to the hospital, they brought us home, they gave us money to go to the house. They even asked me if I have accommodation in this place. If I don't have accommodation, they will give me accommodation 10. I get accommodation that I can go back to my house. And when I reach Nigeria, they were asking me questions and everything. I want to really appreciate Mrs. Julie Dem for the help, and without her, I don't know if I don't know.
Okay, so
I really appreciate.
In your case, you never went through sex trafficking. Was that what you're saying? You were never abused sexually?
No.
Okay.
No, they did. The last house I went for work, that was what the Egyptian man do. Anytime I'm cleaning in the kitchen, he will come and be touching my boobs. And when I say no, he will say, I will kill you. If you do not allow me, I will kill you. I will kill you. I will kill you. That's that he always wants to touch. And my sponsor that took me there, he says he will take me to a prostitution house, so that it's only for me to pay him his money. And
okay.
That is how I managed
because I was under the impression that you were actually sexually molested. But let me get back to Julie. Julie, that underage girls can cross our border undetected clearly points to complicity between immigration officers and traffickers. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Julie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I said that underage girls can cross our borders undetected clearly points to complicity between immigration officers and traffickers. So
what?
I said that underage girls.
Well.
No, let me finish the question.
Yes.
So shouldn't immigration officers be more publicly accountable when failures of this magnitude happen under their watch? What urgent reforms are needed to shut these gaps?
Yeah, they should be, because they are the ones that man the borders, and they are really the only ones there, the immigration services, the customs services, and I think sometimes the police. So, of course, they should be held responsible for children, underage girls, even crossing, even those that are not underage girls. Let's not make any mistake thinking that it is only underage girls that are trafficked. Even girls that are of age can be trafficked. They need to ask questions. Where are you going? And if they are not sure of the answers, then the right thing to do is to refer them to NAPTIP, rather than look the other way. Of course, I mean, if they don't allow them to go through the borders, I mean, the cases will be really minimized.
But has any immigration officer been held accountable for actions like this? Because it's very rampant. Has anybody been punished for this in the immigration sector? Made an example of, so that it discourages such acts?
Well, a number of law enforcement agents have been made accountable for aiding and abetting in human trafficking some time ago, but it's not that common because whether we like it or not, there's a lot of aiding and abetting of law enforcement agents in the crime of human trafficking. It's a criminal network. It has a combination of just about everyone from law enforcement to, just about everyone involved in that crime.
Okay, now let's even start with the process, because I know that even though, because of your relationships or because of the role that you played, you must be very well aware of intricacies involved in this process. Now, let's start with this madam business. Usually, how do they normally meet the madam, and how many girls are they made to, how many men are these girls sometimes made to sleep with every day, on a daily basis?
Okay, most of the time, these madams come like good Samaritans, offering to give them jobs in salons and hotels. They never tell them they will be prostituting. And so when they go to salons, for example, to do their hair, their nails, and then they recruit these girls from there. Oh, you do the nails very well. I have a salon in Dubai or somewhere, and you can work there and I'll pay you very well. So they recruit these girls, and once they get to wherever the destination country, they take their passports off them, and then they begin to make them to force them into sexual slavery. Sometimes girls have reported having to sleep with 10 to 20 men a day, wow, depending on the demand for the girls. Some men will say, oh, I prefer this girl to this one, I want this one, and all of that. So some of them get to sleep with as many as 10 to 20 men every day and make returns to the madam.
So but what about even when they're having their periods? What happens? Are they even given any time off?
Yes, some stories have it that even when they are having their periods, they are made to force cotton wool or sanitary towels down, down them, so that they can still go ahead and have sex, because according to the madams, they must pay the money and they must work. There's no holiday for them.
Oh, that is very harrowing to hear. But what I find even more absurd is that some of these girls come back pregnant. And I'm sure you guys have seen your agency at the time have brought girls that were pregnant. So what normally happens to them? Tell us about the 5 Ps that NAPTIP provides for girls that they rescue.
Well, yeah, when these girls come back pregnant, I mean, they just have to have the baby and live with that traumatic experience. What they do with the babies afterwards, we don't know, if they give them up for adoption or if they decide to keep the babies, but they have to have the babies. NAPTIP has this policy, of prevention, which is raising awareness campaigns everywhere. Like what we're doing now, we're raising awareness, sensitization in schools, in the motor parks, in churches, just about everywhere. We're talking about prevention. We're talking about protection of victims. Rights, we're talking about even policies. They make different policies safeguarding the victims of trafficking and all of that, and ensuring they have prosecution. They prosecute the offenders to ensure that, they take them to court, and of course they end up in jail. Unfortunately, most of the time, these victims do not even have enough information to share. Most times they don't even know the names of the perpetrators. They don't even have their real numbers, to work with. And we work with information. So sometimes we have such problems. So most of the time when we get the information about the perpetrators, their phone numbers, their names, and all of them, then we're able to prosecute, because it's not enough to rescue victims of trafficking, give them psychosocial support, which is given to them at the shelters, and give them empowerment support and all of that, and then allowing these criminals to keep working straight and keep, recruiting more and more victims of trafficking, and exploiting them.
Okay, we're going on a short break right now, and we'll be right back. Grab a cup of tea, as I always say, and see you right back on Perspectives. Welcome back to Perspectives. Can we have Lady X back on, please? Lady X.
All right, ma'am.
Okay, let me ask you, how did you feel?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever, was there any time you felt suicidal? And you said your phone was taken from you. So How were you able to reach across to people to let them know your plight?
No, my phone was with me. My phone was with me.
Okay, your phone was with you all through, and you were allowed to call and make calls and connect to people.
I'm allowed. Yeah, I'm allowed to call. The only thing they took from me was my passport.
So what were the horrible things that the people in the house did to you whilst you were there? And did you also feel suicidal at some point?
Why? Ma, sorry?
I said, tell us about the horrible experiences, the horrible things you experienced whilst you were living there. And at one point, did you try to commit suicide? Did you think about it?
Okay. All right. Well, when I got to the place for about like after a week, and the house, the man's wife and himself. So all the time, I stay in the house for about 1 month before I got a work. So all the time I will ask them, when am I going to work? They will say there will be work, there will be work. I should calm down, there will be work. So that's how I stay in the house for a week, a month before I got a work. So even when I was still staying, anytime they're going out, they will leave me inside the house. Sometimes they will give me just breakfast, and before I will see them, before they will come back, that will be late in the night. And sometimes I won't even eat anything before going to bed. The next day in the morning, I wake up, I will clean the house and everything, do everything in the house that they're teaching me how to clean the house. Before I will go to my boss' house, I will walk, and that's how I will stay. They will lock everywhere, and they will. So when I got the new job, I went to the first day I resumed the first work I went to, it was an old woman, and then the first day I reached there, she gave me just small, tiny Indomie, just one to eat, and that's what I ate in. The next day in the afternoon, I did not eat anything, and that's how I would clean the house, I would take care of her, and sometimes she only clean herself, and so after I did 1 month in the old man's house, I came back home. I said the work was too very terrible. I don't want to do that work. They said, okay, I should come back home. So I collected the £6,000 the woman paid me. I gave it to my sponsor. He gave me £500 as my allowance. So when I stayed home, I came back home. There was no other work. Anytime we call for work, there would be like, there's no vacancy, there's no vacancy. That's how I stayed home for about 3
But were you physically abused?
So for that 3 months,
did they beat you at any given time?
Yeah, no, in the caregiver's house, I was not. So in the house, I stayed for 3 months in the house, inside the house, no going out, nothing. That's how. So there's a day I got tired and I feel like killing myself because I hardly see outside. I can't even. I feel like I don't breathe well. Anytime I sleep, I feel like I dream. I have a lot of dreams. Sometimes I dream my mom is dead, and sometimes I have a lot. Like I was feeling like I was not in the world again. Like I feel like. I went to the restroom, I took hypo, and when I almost consumed the hypo, and I remembered one thing my mom used to tell me that in this life we don't need to give up, and you need to pray, and because anytime if you I just reason.
Okay, so you never drank the hypo, you just wanted to drink it, but you didn't drink the hypo?
No, I almost.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I almost.
Okay,
yes,
you almost.
So that's how I dropped it, and I went back to the room. I cried. I called my mom. My mom would cry. My mom was like, "I'm very sorry. I don't know. This is how the outcome will come." And the man did not explain how the country is for us because we never know. I never know Egypt was a country. I never have idea of Egypt as a country. So because what the man told my mom was, my mom asked him very well, this country this guy is going to, how is that place? He said, there's no problem. The place is nice. The place is good. We'll take care of her. We'll buy her things and all this stuff that she'll come any work she wants to do, she will do. And my mom was very happy that, okay, I'm going to a white man country. Since I have handwork I'm doing here, I can go there and do it without knowing that I was never going to do any handwork.
But how were you
so
rescued?
There's a time.
How were you rescued?
I was rescued. My uncle connected my mom to Miss Julie then.
Okay.
So he told my mom that, don't worry, I have my boss.
But you were allowed to leave?
Miss Julie, and she. No, I ran away from the house.
How did you run away? What did you plan? How did you plan it?
I ran away. I when they took me to a walk, so when I went to the boss, my boss I was working, the white woman, the Egyptian woman I was working with, so I told her everything, how I came to Egypt, and she was not like, this is very bad. And she was the one that took me to the Egyptian woman. She's a very nice woman. She was the one that took me to the Nigeria embassy. So that's before DG connected, Mr. Bellomi connected me with Miss Julie. So she was not like, I will take you to the embassy, and that's how every day she would say she would take me, and that's how when we go connected with Miss Julie, and Miss Julie says she will talk to IOM organization, so if they can help us to.
Okay. Your case
so when I was
sounds,
still working there, because anytime I work.
Go ahead.
Ma?
Go ahead.
So when I got when we got to before we got to the embassy, already Miss Bellomi talked to Miss Julie and about our coming back. She said she will connect us to IOM. So that's when I came back and told my boss that, okay, I have one of my uncles that he said he wants to help us. So that's how he connected us to Miss Julie, and Miss Julie gave us time. She wrote a letter and sent it to IOM. So, and my boss that I was working with helped me to run away. When the sponsor came to the house to collect the second month, the third month of salary, the fourth month salary, my boss told him that I was not around. I ran away. I was not around. I'm not in a house. Okay. So that's how I went to the embassy. Miss Julie asked us to go to the embassy to tell them the problem. And when I went to the embassy, there's a good Samaritan there, and he gave us accommodation to stay before the IOM will start our papers of coming back. It was through Miss Julie, and then because even some of them in the embassy, they don't even know they have any IOM organization there, and through them, through Miss Julie, and some of the girls are coming back. Some are coming back this year, and a lot of girls are there. They want to come back, and they really need help, and a lot is really going on with people. People are dying, girls are dying, and yeah.
Have you heard any harrowing stories about girls that are being sex trafficked? Did you meet any of them whilst you were there? Or have you encountered any of them now that you're back in Nigeria? What kind of stories have they told you?
Yeah, the one I met in Egypt, we went to a garden with my boss, and we met like a lot of Nigerian girls. They were telling us about their story, and they will be like, there's a lady, she said her boss used to sleep with her every night, and if she says no, the boss we tell her that I'm going to tell my wife, and my wife we kill you. My wife will send you to the station, because in that country they have police are really arresting people in that country, because if your papers are not complete, and they will arrest you and they will deport you. Okay. So, and when you go to the station in that place, a lot of the policemen, the Egyptian policemen, they sleep with the ladies, and some of them even died in the station.
They died? Why?
So that's how
did they die?
That because some of them there's no food for them, nowhere to take their bath, and some of the officers are sleeping with them in the station. Oh,
okay. Well, so did any of them share any stories about them? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, my dear. Go ahead.
We have a lot of Nigerian girls that they have been arrested, that they've been there. Even before I came back, I have seen like 5 ladies that have died in the station there. Wow. Because of no food, and the weather is very cold, and the way they sleep with them and all this.
Did you ever see you? Did you ever spend the night in the station yourself at any given time? Were you ever arrested?
No, I've not arrested, because I don't used to come outside. So the police have not seen me.
The girls who are telling you their stories are the girls that you've met here.
We have a group chat. We have a group chat where we look for work.
Okay.
So through there, anybody that is arrested, they will post it on the group chat, and they will be like, this guy has been arrested. And so when I heard of some of the stories, the ladies, some of them in the embassy, when we went to the embassy, and some of the ladies they brought, because they brought them so that they can do their papers and come back. So they will be telling us with Yoruba language. And I have my friend that we stay in the same place. She understands Yoruba very well. So she was the one that was telling me that this is what is happening in the station. This one is just coming out from the station, and this is what is happening. They're sleeping with them, and some of them are dying in that place. They really need help to come back home.
Okay. Let me get back to you, Julie. Now, if figures like VDM, Ruth Osime and Alain Oyema can drive successful rescues like they did with the Côte d'Ivoire girls, why hasn't NAPTIP built strategic partnerships with such voices to strengthen its reach and impact?
Well, I can tell you that NAPTIP partners with the IOM, and NAPTIP has actually repatriated a lot of victims of trafficking from various countries all over the world with the help of IOM and other international partners as well. Yes, Alain Oyema, Chief Alain Oyema of Air Peace is an exceptional Nigerian who should be given a national award as far as I'm concerned. He has performed excellently well. And that is why I keep on saying that the fight against human trafficking is a fight that must involve the whole of government and the whole of society. The government cannot do it alone. Everyone has a role to play, including Arise, and that's exactly what you're doing now. Because what you're doing now is sensitizing the world, telling the girls and boys to be wary of those who come to them as their saviors, and to tell them that human trafficking is real. You know, so everyone has a role to play. Chief Alain Oyema is one Nigerian that is playing his role so well. Everyone has a role to play. Everyone in Nigeria has a role to play.
But speaking of roles to play, I understand the severity and the importance of that. But how else can we build a more proactive system to protect the most vulnerable before the traffickers even reach them? What kind of awareness campaigns are most effective for people in such communities, especially?
Well, with social media now, technology is now very advanced. A lot of people are on social media. A lot of people have got smartphones. They know what is going on. They read what is going on. They hear what is going on. A lot of NGOs now go to the rural areas to talk to people, sensitize them, make them understand that human trafficking. Now we have organ harvesting. Organ harvesting is even worse now. You know, it's all over the place. Yes, organ harvesting is all over the place, you know, and all of that. So a lot of people are more aware. You see, the problem we have is without information, you can really do nothing. Some people may see something, but they don't say anything. And that's why it's important that if we see something, we must say something and do something about it. You know, that's the only way we can really fight this crime. A lot is going on. Even in your estates where you live, you can come across an underage girl working, you know, as a house help, which is part of human trafficking. You can come across underage girls who don't go to school, and all you need to do is pick up the phone to report. But some people just do not care, you know, and don't bother. You know, if everyone plays their role, this is where I say everyone has a role to play. If everyone plays their little role in the fight against human trafficking, it will go a long way. But trust me, raising awareness and sensitization is the #1 key to the fight against human trafficking. Because some people are very ignorant of this crime. Yes.
It's good that you said this, because I remember when this Côte d'Ivoire issue happened, of the girls being returned, I spoke to somebody, a colleague of yours in Côte d'Ivoire, playing the same role. And some of the things that he said were jaw-droppingly and mind-bogglingly scary. He even went as far as saying that some of these girls, even when they're given the option to come back home, they don't want to come back, because they feel there's nothing to come back to. So even if it means they have to pay the madam, whatever it is that she's asking for, they will now continue, after paying the madam, they will now start to earn their own monies. And even as dire as the situation is, they would rather that than come back home to nothing. So what are you doing to encourage girls and rehabilitate them back into the system, to make them understand that this is not the end of the road for them and there's still greater opportunities when they return? What can you do to convince them? Because I hear that some of them, when they're even being brought back, they jump out of the bus to go back to where they were coming from. So what can you do to make this situation not sound so dire for the girls who are being brought back?
That is because most of them are ignorant of the fact that when they come back to Nigeria, they go through psychosocial support, they go through they are given medical support, and they are also empowered. So they think they have nothing to lose rather than, they rather stay where they are and, they rather die there because they think there's nothing to come back to. Like right now, I'm in your studio with a survivor who is telling her story. So these are ways of telling these girls out there. And like you heard her, they have a platform. She has shared her story with those girls on the platform that, hey, this is real. I'm back in Nigeria. I was given medical support. I was given money to open a shop. I was given over 1 million naira to stock my shop with provisions. And here I am doing very well in Nigeria. I have a store I'm operating for and I'm living well. A lot of people need to hear this. They need to see real life stories. And that's the importance of bringing survivors to the stadium, to the station here. I mean, for people to the studio, for people to see and believe that this is real. So, I mean, they need to educate them some more, that they don't just come back to Nigeria doing nothing. They come back to Nigeria, they are given all the supports they need to make their lives better than it even was before they left Nigeria. That sounds very
encouraging. But I know that when we saw the report of the rescue of the girls, a lot of people complained that your organization was too quiet. And sometimes some of them feel that they are not having the kind of impact that they need to have. So in cases like this, what do you now do to ensure that any success that your organization or NGO does is out there for people to know, for people to understand that it is appreciated? Because people are complaining that NAPTIP hasn't said anything since the rescue of these girls. They expected a more positive response. They expected a reaction to let people know that, yes, we are grateful that you guys have done this as private citizens, but also us as an organization, this and this and this and this is what we have done. How can you make that more public for people to understand that you are actually doing some work? Did you hear me?
I cannot speak for NAPTIP. I can only speak for my organization, my foundation.
Well, you can talk on advice. You can also advise.
We're out there. Yeah.
You can
Everyone
advise
knows what we're doing.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, of course, the only advice I can give is for them to come out more, to make a statement, to give these rescued victims assurance and those who are yet to be rescued assurance that there is hope for them when they come back to Nigeria. There's nothing as good as giving people hope. And I think that can easily be done.
Okay, let me talk to Lady X. Now, what are the side effects of your experience? Do you have nightmares? How have you been able to get back to being your old self? How did this affect you mentally and emotionally, your experience?
Yeah, I always have nightmares, like every night. Sometimes I used to call my friend and I would tell her that I used to be scared of sleeping because once these nights I used to be scared. I don't want to sleep. She would be like, why don't you want to sleep? I say, anytime I sleep, I always dream bad dreams. So I sometimes I don't know. I can't explain. It's very, very bad. It's very bad. It was not easy. I hardly sleep. I don't even like sleeping at all.
Okay. You say you have a group chat, right, of people that have gone through your experience. Are you in a group chat?
Yeah, like the group chat. No, like the group chat I'm talking about. The group chat I'm talking about is about workers, people, like any work. If you're looking for work, maybe they will post a work. There's a work in this villa. There's a work in that villa. There's this. They're looking for babysitting, mama sitting, the papa sitting, and all this stuff. So that's how we are into those groups.
Okay. Have you encountered anybody that actually?
Like a WhatsApp group.
Have you met anybody that actually was taken to any African country for sex trade? Have you exchanged? Have you spoken to any of them?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay, okay. So, if you could speak directly now to a young lady that was that is a young lady of yourself that is planning to go abroad or go to any of these African countries under the pretext of getting a job, what would you tell them to look out for, and would you advise them to do it?
Okay, I would tell them if you have opportunity to travel out, you don't even go through a sponsor. If you have money to travel out, you stay in Nigeria and use that money for a nice business, for a good living, because going there to another man's country is not really easy. Here in Nigeria, we have freedom of speech, freedom of walking, freedom of movement, but there in that country, there's nothing freedom in that place, because you will suffer, and you suffer, you must die. Right away, I don't feel like traveling to any country. If you even give me an opportunity to travel, I would like to go to any country. So the only advice I advise ladies, nobody should allow you, nobody should deceive you and tell you there's nice work in that place, you will enjoy this, there's money, there's not this, there's this, there's this, there's this. Don't allow anybody to deceive you to travel out to anywhere, because there's nothing nice about traveling out.
Okay. Okay. And how did your parents feel when you got back? I mean, how did you tell them what your experience was like? And when you reconnected with your parents, how did you feel? And your family, how did you feel?
I was very happy, and my mom was very, very happy, and she was so very excited seeing me, and she gave thanks to God, and especially the Miss Julie, them, and the organization called IOM, because they really take care of me, and they gave me business, about 1.2 million for my stocks, and they paid my shop rent, and they took me to the hospital, and they gave me feeding money in that place. They even asked me if I have any problem. Even this year, about like 2 months ago, they called me to check on me if I'm doing very good.
What kind of business do you do?
I want to give
What kind of business do you do?
I have a provision store.
Okay,
now.
so you sell provisions now?
I have a provision shop.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
let me ask Julie one last question. If you could speak directly, what would your message be to the Nigerian government, to traffickers still operating today, and to a girl still trapped and waiting for rescue? What would your message be?
Well, if I'm to advise the Nigerian government, I would advise them to pay a lot of attention on NAPTIP. NAPTIP is a very important agency that needs funding. The officers need training. You know, there's so much to do. NAPTIP needs to be at the borders. They also should be at the borders, because that is their job. Their job is to protect victims. Their job is to prevent trafficking, you know, and to protect ladies and guys from being trafficked. There's so much to do. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure that NAPTIP is getting the attention that it requires. But NAPTIP needs to be really funded and paid a lot of attention to.
And what would you say to the young girl who is watching this program right now, who is in a very vulnerable position?
Well, to the young girls, I'll tell you, there's no place like home. Don't allow anyone to deceive you, promising you jobs. You can always take a sit back to inquire. Make inquiries. It's so easy to find out information. We have the Nigerian embassies. We have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have people you can always ask. You know, you have NGOs. You can find out from NAPTIP. You know, I really don't see why any young girl or young boy would want to travel out of the country for no reason at all, because they really usually go for no reason. When you ask them what they are going for, they tell you they are going to work. I mean, you cannot go and work in a country when you do not even have a stay. You can't just go to a country with your passport, because even if you have a visa, the visa will expire. So you don't go there without a mission. If you're traveling abroad, you're either going there to school or you're going there for a proper job, you know, with all the necessary documentation.
Well, whether we like it or not,
just
it
wake
is
up
also the
and travel anywhere.
Yes, but whether we like it or not, it's also the vulnerability that makes them easy prey. Because if they had something to keep them behind, and they had jobs available, as you say, they wouldn't want to go into these foreign and unknown territories. So I think what we need to do is at least create more attention.
No, I don't agree with that.
Yes. But most of these girls are vulnerable. They find vulnerable
I do not
victims.
agree with that totally.
Okay, so tell me why you disagree with that.
I do not agree with that totally because, no, we've had cases where people who were actually working resigned from their jobs, sold everything they had, and gave the money to these agents to take them abroad. So it's not all the time where you find vulnerable victims. Sometimes, yes, they are vulnerable, but sometimes just out of sheer greed.
Okay.
They think, oh, I'm going to be paid dollars and it's a lot of money. So some of them actually resign from their jobs. So it's a mixture, it's a combination of both. Yes. Not necessarily being vulnerable all of the time. There are different categories.
Thanks for drawing attention to that, because of course you are better armed to tell us both sides of the story. But thank you so much for being with us here on Perspectives this morning, Ms. Julie. And thank you so much, Lady X. And I wish you better luck and wish you greater prosperity in your young life in future. Thank you so much for being with us on Perspectives. Now, stronger reforms and decisive actions are urgently needed to crush this scourge. No excuses, no delays. If those charged with protecting our girls fail to act boldly or lack the government's full backing to fight this battle head-on, and if more Nigerians don't rise up, speak out, and demand an end to this menace, then we are no better than the barbarians who traffic and abuse them, because silence is a pact with evil, and inaction is a betrayal of our humanity. So as I keep saying, life is a kneeling curve. That's all we have time for today. You've been watching Perspectives here on Arise News with me, Ruth Osime. Trusting God, we shall be here same time next week for another interesting episode. Do have a rewarding week. Goodbye.